So here's the last type. This is page 289, question 12, because again, the worked example already explains it, so I'm doing a different example. So somebody going to college, buys a laptop, in college for 4 years, costs 2,000. Whatever, she will sell whatever she has at the end of 4 years, and there's a replacement value, maintenance costs. If she replaces her laptop after 2 years, and then sells after 4 years, what will her costs amount to? So it's kind of phrased quite badly, but basically, let's think about what happened. So we're talking about 4 years, so let's just do year 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put costs in as a negative and then profits in as a positive. So in year 1, she buys a laptop. So she buys a new laptop. So that's going to cost her 2,000. So that's in year 1. And then in the first year as well, we have 50 of maintenance costs. I believe. So what does it say? Again, it's very vague, but like the other problems in the other questions, this basically means this table, and it would be given clearer in an exam, that in the first year it costs 50, in the second year it costs 200, and so on. It doesn't mean that if you keep it for 2 years, it costs 200 in total. Again, they didn't make that very clear here, but that is how it works. I checked the solution, that's how they do it. So it should say the maintenance cost each year is as follows. So that means that in the first year it costs 50. In year 2, what happens is, well, obviously she sells it after 2 years. So this is at the end of the 2 years. She sells it, so she hasn't sold it yet. So what happens, it costs her 200 for the maintenance, and then she replaces it after the 2 years. So you could say that's at the end of the second year or at the start of the third year. For simplicity, I'm going to say it's at the start of the third year. So let's say during the second year she does nothing. Then during the third year she sells it. So it's now 2 years old. So we get 900 for that. But then we have to buy it again for 2,000, buy the laptop. And now we're in our first year of maintenance costs, so we do minus 50 again. And then in our fourth year, the fourth year, we've only had the laptop. This is our second year of having this new laptop. So what we're going to have is minus 200. And then she just sells the laptop, whatever laptop she has at the end of the 4 years. It doesn't say she buys it again at the end because she's done college now. So she just sells it, and it's 2 years old, so it has a value of 900. So we basically just add all of these values up. And we find when we add all those numbers up, our cost is 2,700. And that's the answer. So you get minus 2,700, which means it costs her 2,700. Again, I'm assuming they'd be more clear in an exam because they haven't asked this yet. It says, what will our costs amount to? It doesn't say whether it's just all these costs or if it's the total amount that she pays. But check the marking scheme. It means the total amount she pays. So that's the answer we're looking for. So again, in an exam, they would say, what is the total amount that she spends over the 4 years? So now starts the dynamic programming, so we have to find the minimum costs and the strategy that gives rise to it. So minimum costs means we're going to be taking, since I'm putting my costs in as a negative, we want to pay the least amount, so we're going to be looking for the biggest number, which you'll see, it might sound confusing, but you'll see what I mean. And remember that dynamic programming for these types of problems is a bit weird, because it technically isn't dynamic programming. The stage and the state are both the same. So remember, we start from the end, and we start with 0 years left. We have 0 years left. The action is keeping it for 0 years, destination is 0 years, and the value is 0. So it's not super interesting. In fact, you could technically leave out that line, but they did it in the examples. Then our next stage is we have 1 year left, in which case we have 1 year left, and then we have two options. We either keep it, or we sell it. Sorry, this way of doing it's actually really slow. The way that you should think of it is how long we're going to keep it for. So our action is how long keep. So there's actually a few ways of doing this. You can do keep, sell, but it gets really long and takes ages. So it's actually better to say how long you're going to keep it for. Keep it for 1 year, or you can keep it for 0 years. Well, keeping it for 0 years doesn't really make sense because you can't keep it for 0 years. So if we keep it for 1 year, we have 0 years left. So we kind of have to just keep it for 1 year if we bought it at the start of this year. And then we can assume that we bought it at the start of the year. Or actually we won't. I think that'll make it more confusing. Again, there's tons of different ways of doing this. I'm trying to make it the easiest way. So what we'll say is we haven't bought it. We have the laptop and we're going to keep it for a year. So if we keep it for a year, it's going to cost 50. So we're going to put that in as a minus 50. So we're keeping it for 1 year. So it's costing us minus 50. And then since it's 1 year old, and then remember we sell it at the end. It says that. She will sell whatever laptop she has at the end. The end is when there's 0 years left. So this is the end. So she's going to sell it at the end. It's going to have a value of 1,400. So we'll have minus 50 plus 1,400 gives us 1,350. That's the only option here, so we'll give that a star. If we have 2 years left, we can keep it for 2 years, or we can keep it for 1 year. Yep. Well, actually, sorry, the 2 and the 1 are meant to be here, because that's the action we're doing, is how long we're keeping it for. The stage and the state are the same. Again, these questions are kind of weird. In which case, here we'd have 0 years left, and here we'd have 1 year left. If we have 1 year left, this is the outcome. So if we have 0 years left, that means what we're doing basically is we're paying 250, because we're paying 50 for the first year and 200 for the second year, so minus 250 for our maintenance costs. And then since it's the end, we're selling the laptop, and we're going to be selling it for 900. 900. That'll give us 650, I think. Yeah, 650. That's not the only option, though. Let's look at the other one. If we keep it for 1 year, we're only going to pay 50 in maintenance costs. Then we're going to sell it, because we're keeping it for 1 year. That means we're selling it at the end of the 1 year for a value of 1,400. And then we're buying a new laptop, because we're not done college yet, so it's minus 2,000. Add all those up. And sorry, then after that 1 year, we know that after the 1 year happens, we have to add on this value, because basically this is what happens if we have 1 year left. We get a profit of 1,350, so we have to take that into account. We have to take into account what happens after the 1 year left. That's why we have to put in the 1,350, then add those up, and we get that we have 700. So remember, this is our overall spent amount. So basically, I'm putting costs in as negatives and profits in as positives. So this is a positive, so which one has a bigger profit? Well, this one's a bigger profit, so we'll star that. Now, if we have 3 years left, state is 3. She can keep it for 3 years, 2 years, or 1 year. If she keeps it for 3, she'll have 0 years left. If she keeps it for 2, she'll have 1 year left. And if she keeps it for 1 year, she'll have 2 years left. So if she keeps it for 3 years, that's going to be 50, 200, and 300. So that's 550 in maintenance costs. So we have minus 550. And then she's going to sell it because it's the end. So we'll get plus. And then how much is it worth after 3 years? It's worth 400. So we'll have plus 400. And then that's just the end. That's the end of it. There's nothing else. So for our answer there, we get minus 150, which isn't great. If we keep it for 2 years, we'll have minus 250 as our cost, because the 50 in the first year and the 200 in the second. Then we're going to sell it as we did. So selling it after 2 years means it's worth 900. So we add 900. But then, because we're not done college yet, we minus 2,000 because we're buying a new laptop. And then if we have 1 year left, well, the best option when we have 1 year left is we get 1,350. So we add on the 1,350 to take into account what happens after the 1 year is left. And the net amount of that is 0. So it means we don't make any profit or cost or anything. If we decide to keep it for 1 year, then it's going to cost 50 in maintenance costs. We're going to sell it for 1,400 because it's only 1 year old. 1,400. We have to buy a new laptop because we're not done yet. And then if we have 2 years left, we can get 700 as our best option. For when we have 2 years left, that's up here. Our best option is the 700. So we add all those up. And we get a positive 50. So remember, the negative 150 means we spend 150. 50 means we receive 150. So obviously that's our best bet. We want to go for that one. And then finally, we have 4 years left, which is the start. 4 years left. 4, 3, 2, 1. That means if we're keeping it for 4 years, destination is 0, and then 1, 2, 3. So that's how many years are left after. So if we keep it for 4 years, that's all these costs added up. So 50 plus 200 plus 300 plus 350 is 900. So we'll have minus 900, that's a cost. The value is 100, so we add 100 back on because we sell it. And then nothing else happens because now we're at the end. So we're not selling, we're not buying a new one because we're done university. It's minus 800. If you keep it for 3 years, the costs are the same as up here. It's 550. I'm not going to keep scrolling up. And then we sell it, which again, looking up here, we're selling it for 400. Again, I'm just not bothered to look at the table, but you can see it is indeed selling for 400 after 3 years. Buying a new one because we're not quite done yet, minus 2,000. And then if we keep it for 1 more year, the best option is 1,350. So we're going to get 1,350 after we keep it for the last year, add all those up, and we get minus 800 again. Then if we keep it for 2 years, it's going to be minus 250 in costs. Then we sell it for 900 again. It's, as you can see, it kind of repeats as up here because we have costs and then selling. So this is actually the exact same because it's same maintenance cost, same selling price, and then we have to buy a new one because we're not done yet. Minus 2,000. The only thing that changes is here we have 2 years left, so we're going to add on 700, whereas up here we added on 1,350 from up here. So because we have 2 years left, we're adding on this 700 to get to the end to see what the final product is. So add the 700, add all those up, and we get minus 650. I'm going to rub this out, this little line. And then finally, if we keep it for 1 year, that's 50 in maintenance costs. It's worth 1,400 when we sell it. We're not done yet, so we spend 2,000 on a new laptop. And then if we have 3 years left, the best option is that we get a profit of 50. And then we add all those up. And we get minus 600. I've noticed I have made a mistake here. So this isn't how much she spends, because remember, 4 years left is the very beginning, right? And she buys a laptop for the studies at the very beginning. Again, I would hope they'd be a bit more clear about that. So at the beginning of year 4, she already spends minus 2,000 on a laptop. So these actually all have an extra minus 2,000 on them. Sorry about that. These all have an extra minus 2,000 on them, which means that this is going to be minus 2,800. It's going to be minus 2,800, and then basically we're just adding 2,000 onto all of them. 2,800, 2,650, and then 2,600. Obviously, the best option is we want to spend 2,600 instead of spending 2,800. So this is the one we're starring. Sorry about the mistakes, but hopefully they kind of help because it makes sure you won't make those same mistakes. What minimum possible cost is 2,600. So cost, or minimum cost, is 2,600 euros. What's the strategy? Well, we kept it for 1 year and we have 3 years left. Then the optimal value here was keep it for 1 year, and we had 2 years left. The optimal value here is keep it for 1 year and then keep it for 1 year. So we basically want to keep for 1 year every time, or you could say sell after 1 year each time. Anything along those lines, and that's it.